Hello, I just wanted to do a quick video for you guys about some resources that you can use for math. You might find them helpful for other classes as well. So, every student has ClassLink on their Chromebook. So, when they open ClassLink, it'll look very similar to my page here. And one of the most useful resources that your student is going to have is going to be Schoology Live right here, that is highlighted on the screen here. When they open Schoology, they would go have a list of their courses and they would select the course that they're wanting to go to. So for me, that's math. I'm a math teacher, so they would go to their math course. For math, there are different things on here. I use this as a resource bank more than for assigning assignments. So on this, the very first thing is practice with whole numbers, decimals, and fractions. Everything that is on Schoology, other than the videos, of course, are going to be in your student's math binder as well. So at the very beginning of the year, I talked to students about whole numbers, decimals, and fractions and how to do basic operations with those. So in this little PDF, there are directions on how to practice. This one is for whole number review. And if you don't have some of these materials at home, you can always use paper, pencil, dice instead of a deck of cards, a deck of cards instead of dominoes, just things like that. So there's instructions on practice to do where they create their own problems for whole numbers. And then there's this video here, so it switched to the hand to click. And if they click on that video, it takes them to a YouTube video with Mr. J, and he goes over adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing whole numbers. So if they needed that example, then they could watch that video and then practice with the steps that it says to do. Same thing for decimal review. Again, Mr. J is explaining add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. And we did these activities with whiteboards at the beginning of the school year. So they should be familiar with how to do these activities. So we had the whole numbers, the decimals, and then we have our fraction review. And again, each one is accompanied with a video example. So that resource is there. And if we return to our home page for the math course that they have on Schoology, we will see that there are lesson folders. So lesson 0, that was some prerequisite skills, shapes. We reviewed what shapes are, 2-dimensional shapes, 3-dimensional shapes. And then we also reviewed area of rectangles. And we specifically talked about what happens when we find the area and our sides are fractions, like 3/4 and 2/5 and things like that. Then we moved into area of parallelograms, area of triangles, nets and surface area. We just finished that up today for most of my classes. My third period class finished that yesterday. And then we're moving into greatest common factor and least common multiple. But within these folders, you will see a couple of resources for you at home. As far as trying to figure out if they have a missing assignment on Skyward and then trying to translate that to, okay, where can I find that for them if they've misplaced that work? For me, they would go to that folder. So if they're missing area of parallelograms practice, they're going to go to area of parallelograms on Schoology, and then they're going to go into that graded work folder, and they will find a copy of that assignment. So that is there as a resource for them as well. But as far as practicing area of parallelograms, if they're still feeling like they're not confident yet with their abilities there, then we have a parallelograms videos and examples. So there are videos on how to find the area of parallelograms. And there's 2. So the first one is Mr. J, and it's a more basic video of this is how we find the area of parallelograms. And then the second video is another guy who goes a little more in depth into the explanation behind area of parallelograms. So those resources are there for each lesson. I don't usually put the videos on there very first thing. I usually wait till we've covered it a day or two at least in class before I put the videos on there for them to practice with. But again, those resources are on Schoology for all of my math classes. I don't have videos yet for lesson 6, but they will be there in the next couple of days. So there's video examples that walk them through and walk you through the process if you're looking to help them with their math at home, of how we do things in class. So that's the Schoology example or practice that we have as a resource. Khan Academy is a great place to go. You can sign up for Khan Academy on your own if you want to. Mine is old. I was using it for some fifth graders that I was tutoring at one point. And you sign up for Khan Academy, and it's khanacademy.org. It's right up here in the URL. And you sign up for it, you select your grade level, your subject, your standards, and then it has some different practice. It'll label it by skill, and you click start, and then it takes you through that practice. It'll have a video and then a review where they work some problems. So that is a resource as well. GeoGebra is a resource I found recently. I had the students actually go to GeoGebra when we started three-dimensional shapes and finding surface area so that they could start looking at nets and that kind of stuff. So geogebra.org, that's another great resource. They can get on there. They can look at area of triangles, parallelograms to triangles, different things that we've talked about in class. And they can even explore things that they might be seeing on ALEKS topics that maybe they're not 100% sure about. So again, GeoGebra is another good resource as well. It's very interactive for them. Math Antics is a good place to go. You can sign up for Math Antics, but they also have free resources. So when you scroll down here, all of these are videos, and they are a little corny and cheesy, but it does catch their attention. So there's fraction work, there's percentages, we get into ratios and proportions. We do have geometry, so perimeter would be a review. Area, we talk about area. We'll get into volume in a little while in math. Mean, median, mode, all of those things. We'll talk about exponents. We get into solving basic equations. So all of these are things that, again, they walk them through practice and problems with these, and it is video instruction for them. So that is another resource that you can use at home if you would like to. And sometimes I'll pull those videos into class as well. There's also, if you want just the drill type practice, there's mathdrills.com, and there's a little hyphen in the middle, so it's the math and then your dash there, drills.com. So this one, you would select in the menu what it is you're looking for, especially those more basic operations or even order of operations. I'm finding that students are having trouble remembering their order of operations that they learned in fifth grade. And then we repeat that skill again in sixth grade math, and we move into expressions and equations and that kind of thing. So just getting that basic practice with that is something that's very important. So again, there's worksheets on here, and it will have an answer sheet with it. So you select the worksheet. There's more than one version of the worksheet. There's usually like an A through Z example of the worksheet, and then have an answer key for you as the parent to look at as well. So mathdrills.com is another resource that you can use at home. And then we have iReady. So with iReady, for me, it's right next to my Schoology Live. So iReady is this icon right here. And for my students, I do assign lessons in iReady. I have a few students that complete them in class because they finish early with their work. But most students don't have time to get to those. And so that's a great resource. It goes right along with our textbook that we have because we use Ready Math in the classroom, and there are interactive lessons on there. So they can do the blue lessons, don't do the green My Path. Okay, so blue lessons in iReady. And then, of course, students should be doing ALEKS topics every week. Each student has a different amount of topics based on not only what they scored, but on their knowledge check for ALEKS, but also I look at their iReady data and just different pieces to that puzzle and make a decision on, okay, this is the amount of practice that they're probably going to need each week. So if you ever have a question about how many topics your student should have, then just please reach out to me and I will let you know. They want to make sure when they go to ALEKS that they have their correct school selected. I've been a virtual teacher and different things, so I have other schools on mine. Most students are just going to have Southside Elementary on theirs. So when they go to ALEKS, they will see multiple things. So they'll see one math class that looks like these. These are all of my math blocks. But they also have their science on here, and I'm not sure if it's science textbook or workbook, but science is on here as well. They just need to make sure that they're going to math for math, and it will take them to their topics, their path that is specific to their learning.